Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is Chelsea Rodstrom, Research Analyst with Global X. Chelsea, it's great to see you again. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
Great to see you again, Jill.
Tell us about the fund Global X launched just this week with Nasdaq, the Global X Emerging Markets Internet and E-commerce ETF.
So EWEB is our newest addition to our thematic suite at Global X, and is the Emerging Market Internet and E-commerce ETF, as you said. It invests in the 50 largest internet and e-commerce companies that derive a majority of their revenue from the emerging markets. So that includes search engine companies, online retailers. It also includes social media and live streaming companies, as well as software companies that have internet-based services. So we launched the fund recognizing that over the last several years, internet penetration and smartphone adoption have really accelerated in a lot of those emerging markets, thanks to big structural changes in the economy that have allowed them to become, to graduate from being countries that were the adopters in the latest technology to countries that actually produce some of the most innovative companies in the world within the space.
And that's what I want to get to next with you. What does the fund focus on in emerging markets, given these are the themes that are global in nature?
So as many investors know, emerging markets are attractive for their higher growth potential. But what some investors may not know is that emerging markets are actually becoming major economies in their own right. They're now contributing more to global growth and more to global consumption growth than many developed economies. And that concentrated growth and consumption is happening in tandem with the bigger structural changes and the spread of technology as consumers become wealthier, more educated, and start to move towards those big cities more. We thought that this ETF would provide investors with a really good way to capture that higher growth, those higher growth areas of the internet and e-commerce segments, while also allowing them to narrow their exposure to the fastest growing segments within emerging markets, which many investors may only have very broad exposure to.
What are some examples of companies in the index that investors may or may not have heard of?
So most people will know of companies like Mercado Libre, which is an e-commerce giant in Argentina, or Alibaba, which is an e-commerce leader in China, which actually just celebrated its Singles Day yesterday, the same day we launched the fund, with over 6 times the sales that we saw on Amazon Prime Day here in the US. But of course, there are many other companies. There's dozens of other companies in the e-commerce and internet space that really harness that emerging markets consumption growth. There are companies like Meituan Dianping in China, which is an e-commerce and food delivery giant, or in Brazil you have PagSeguro, which is a digital payments platform, basically providing a lot of the infrastructure for e-commerce companies. So eWeb helps investors gain that more targeted exposure to many of those more tech-savvy companies in the emerging markets, which are regional giants by themselves, but which US-based investors may not be aware of.
All right, Chelsea, great to see you. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks.
Thank you.
You got it, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.